Hi guys, how you doing? Today's episode, we're going to be doing version control, and I'd just like you guys to know that I actually went and got a timer because I think it's ridiculous that the last video was about 21 minutes. So I am really going to start sticking to this timer from now on. I hope. So let's get started. So in this version of the episode, I'm actually going to be looking at version control, and as I said before, we're going to be using Git. This will allow us basically to keep track of our code and share it and work on it at the same time if you guys want to contribute back to the project. So the first thing I'm going to do, by the way, if you are using Visual Studio Code, creating a Git repo is very simple. All you need to do is go to this little icon there and click initialize Git repo. But I think, in fact, you know what? If there are ways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick to maybe a particular standard. So mostly, guys, you'll find that there are ways that you can do things in terminal or command line or the shell. And there are ways in which you can do things within the IDE. So wherever we can do things in the IDE, I'm going to stick to that. So initializing a Git repo here is very simple. All you have to do is click initialize Git repo and it's done. It tells you all the files it's going to include into your project. So one thing I don't want to put onto the server or onto the remote server there is these node modules. So when we ran our command to install npm installed, it actually installs the modules within our project directory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create something called a Git Ignore file. And what this file will allow us to do, it will allow us, so you'll see here, for example, at the moment it says 99 files will be going to the server. So what this will allow us to do is will allow us to, this 99 should change now to, to 4. So the node modules will not be sent to the server. They'll actually stay on my machine. And every time somebody pulls the project, they'll have to run npm install themselves, which is quite ideal because I don't know what machines you guys are running, if it's a Windows or Linux, and some of these node modules are actually platform dependent. So all you need to remember is that every time that you get the project, you will have to do npm install. So in fact, what we'll do, let's document that. So I'm going to create not in there. I am going to create the readme file. That's in markdown format. That's like a standard that we're going to be using GitHub. So they actually read this readme file and use it to kind of like host almost like the web page of your application. So we're going to call our application I told you so. So in this, maybe we're going to have a few instructions, something like installation. So the installation instructions obviously are going to be pull the code, and then, in fact, I forgot how to make bullet points in Markdown, but it's fine. So we'll just do that for now, and then we'll come back and we'll do our formatting correctly. So the first thing you'll need to do is when you pull the code, let's just say pull code, and then we'll put the URL once we've generated it. And the second thing would be run npm install. So you can save that, and once again, Visual Studio Code allows you to do cool things such as, I think we should be able to say open preview, where it shows us how this will actually look on GitHub as well. So cool. Now that we've done that, let's commit our code. So we're committing locally, almost creating like a point. In fact, let me not. Yeah, so when you commit locally, you're just basically saving to your local machine and creating a point where you could revert back and pull or check out or branch from that particular point in time. So we'll call this initial commit. And then, so we've committed locally. So this code now is on my machine and I can view it locally. What I can do is use tools like source tree, which you guys don't have to have for now, is I can actually, I think, should be able to do this. Open, downloads, and you see you'll see over time, I'll come back to this page and you guys are going to see that that we're going to start having this little tree that grows with our commits and all of that. So this commit will actually tell you the files that you checked in. For example, index.js, package.json was created and all of that. So, but that's, we can get to Git and complex things in Git a bit later. For now, let's just keep it simple. We'll focus on the code. So the next thing we'll do is that, in fact, let's add it onto, so we can go onto GitHub. This is going to be what we're going to use for our remote repos. And because this is probably the first time, in fact, I'm going to show you guys how to create a team. So let's create a new organization. So the name of our organization will be Mean Village. And the email we're going to use for billing is Mean Village. Should have done this beforehand. Okay. Cool. So I'm going to add this guy as one of the committers. That happens to be me. Oh, so it's already added actually. Cool. Finish. So let's create a new repository. And we're going to call this repository I told you so. So because we've already created our repository locally as well, I'm not going to initiate a README file because we did that manually. So what I will do is I'll keep it private. One thing I will go and grab is from my package.json, I'm going to grab this. You don't have to do this, but it's quite cool that you can. And put it in the description there. And click create. Cool. So we've created an empty repo online somewhere that's hosted online. So what I'm going to do is, because we have got existing code, we are going to manually push our existing code into this repo. So the first thing, we're going to tell our current repository. So if I come in here, guys, say clear, make sure I'm in the directory where the root directory. And if I say get status, it'll tell me that, okay, that this is my current, so there is a repo here. If you didn't have one, it'll tell you something else, that this is not a repo, and ask if you want to initialize one. So first thing we'll do is we'll copy and paste that command in there, click enter. So now what has happened, if I say get remote -v, is that it set our current local repo to our pushing and fetching repo, basically, to the one remotely. So the next thing we'll do is we'll just push our code to the remote repo. So one thing you guys will need to, before you can run this last command that I've just run there, just make sure you have done your commit, or else it'll tell you something about the head and the tracking is not set up or something like that. So cool. So it's set everything up, and branch master set up to track remote from origin, which is brilliant. So if I go and refresh here, so you can see there's actually nothing. There are no files on this particular page. But if I refresh, there you go. Our code is now on the internet, and anyone can go and view it if they want to. In fact, I should have removed this .vs code from here, because that's also just like a dev configuration file that you guys do not need. But I think for now, let's leave it at that. Let's keep the videos short. Next time we get back, we will be writing, because remember last time we actually did get our server up and running, but we have this funky page. So what we're going to do is we're going to create our first web page that will display to the user. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time.